was old school.
And we always did the nativity.
You can be louder, it's okay.
You don't have to talk about
No.
Christmas.
At the junior
I just
school,
thought it was...
we used to use the Methodist schoolroom, didn't we? So I have a vivid recollection. I was one of the I was the first king.
You're going to have to speak up a bit for this.
I was the first king.
Yeah, normal voice.
And I had to sing in a gold ring. And as I walked in, all these children were on the floor. I can remember that.
Oh.
Sat on the floor, which children had to do in those days. And I thought, I can't get through. Keep singing. And it was like the magic carpet. It opened up and then closed behind me. But yeah, we used the Methodist schoolroom quite a lot, didn't we, for plays, nativity.
I can't remember. That must have come later.
That's my earliest recollection of educational
So
Christmas.
how old would you be there?
I was at junior school, so I would be somewhere over, I can't remember, probably about 8 or 9, I should think.
And was that the school on School Lane?
No,
Or
it's
the
where
school behind the library?
Behind the library, yeah. I can remember starting down there, but that's nothing to do with Christmas. My father had to maintain a tradition of never doing anything on time. So I think actually the school inspector got onto him because he hadn't even introduced me to school. So I was taken down on his crossbar on the bike, had a little seat, and I got there and everyone's there. And the teacher says, "Oh, I'll bring the children to play with you." And she rang this seemed an enormous bell, and I just started crying. However, I progressed to be Maypole monitor. Oh yes, and we had to write a diary, which my father really objected to. But anyway, he said the teachers were being nosy. But I got distinction because one day I wrote, "Yesterday the gasman came and changed our penny meter for a shilling one," and my mother was very disappointed. And it was the word disappointed that was in flashing lights. So, yeah, but I can't remember Christmas at all down at the infant school. And that's my only recollection of Christmas at the junior school is going across for the nativity.
I can't remember Christmas at school.
I can remember at the Mayflower, and they always did a nativity. There was always a Christmas party, and you had to make hats out.
Oh yeah. And streamers out. That's right. Streamers out of crepe paper, which you twisted over.
Yeah, you had to do all your decorations. And they always had a competition who made the best hat and things. And I wasn't very good at that. So. But it wasn't as big as it is now.
It was very simple, wasn't it? Really was.
And for Christmas presents, you'd probably get chocolate, oranges and things like that.
Yeah, got one present, really.
Yeah.
You see, my Christmas, it was different at the farm.
Yeah.
Because my dad used to go up into the forestry. We used to cut our own tree. We were allowed to have our own tree in the forest. And then he'd carry it home on his shoulders. But it was always Christmas Eve.
Yes.
You didn't have it before Christmas Eve.
Christmas always started on Christmas Eve. My father would work until probably 2 o'clock Christmas
That's
Eve.
Right.
And then
they worked hard, didn't they?
Doncaster Market. And he would haggle for everything. Because it was Christmas Eve, you're going to be shut, you're not be able to sell it. Everything was an argument. So by the time we got on the food, and I can remember walking down with bags with celery and potatoes and with food which we didn't normally eat, it was all special. And then we ended up at the Dolls Hospital, which used to be on Hallgate, I think, which was closed. My father was going to get the presents there, so we went round the back and he knocked on the door and knocked until they came, and he bought the presents. And that year, my brother got the big Meccano, the next brother got, he could get A sets, I think, to build them up. He got an A set, and I got a gear set, which I didn't know. I hadn't a clue. My eldest brother knew what to do with it. But yeah, it was quite simple. One present.
It was an orange and nuts.
That was a real novelty.
Did you put a stocking out? Did you put stockings out?
Yes.
Yeah, mine was completely different. My mum used to spend nearly the whole year making Christmas the most magical day.
Wow.
And it was all home. Everything we did was home. When you said, "What do we do?"
Did she make things?
Not really. No, she bought things, but we had a pillar slit that we put downstairs, and that was filled. And then we had a stocking in the bed, And my sister and I shared a room at the time, and I would say, wake up really early and say, has it been? Feel for the stocking.
Oh, yes.
The stocking was full.
Oh, it was
How they
magical.
used to sneak in, I don't know. But then we'd go down and open all these presents in the pillar slip, and then my mum would say, there was something we really wanted special, quite a big thing, and she'd say, I think you might have left something else, Santa. And she'd go out and bring in a bicycle or
Whatever.
you know.
Well, I
So
made
she
them,
really
yeah.
made it magical. It was just the most wonderful day of the year.
Did you have presents around your tree then?
No,
No.
no,
Oh, yeah.
no, we didn't see
Oh.
presents at all
Well, we had
until
a
Father
stocking,
Christmas.
but then our main present was under the tree.
I don't think we even had
Yeah.
a tree.
Yeah,
But I
we
can remember one year, my brothers and I thought we ought to have a tree, so we'd noticed the Forestry Commission had cut a lot of trees down up past the caravan company, so we went up there and got an offcut to the top of a tree and carried this off in triumph. And as we got into Bawtry, a van pulled up beside us, and the Forestry Commission warden got out and said, "You've just stolen a tree." Honestly,
Oh,
it was throwing it away. But he said, do your parents know you've come for this tree? And in truth they didn't. So we said, no, it'd kill us if we know we've stolen it. And he told us to get off. So that way we had a tree, yeah.
oh.
We
He
had
let you
a,
keep it, did he?
Yes,
That was
yes, he
kind of
did.
him, yeah.
we had a real tree, and my mum and dad put candles and lit the candles on it,
Only for
and
them.
it caught fire.
Oh.
And my dad, who was really quite a sensible man, grabbed it, and we had all paper trimmings then. The house was full, you know, you did
Yeah.
that, it was all
Yes,
these
yeah.
paper trimmings. And he picked it up, all the paper trimmings caught light as he's going out of the... So there were paper trimmings falling down. The tree ended up just a twig, and we were devastated. And money was short, really. We didn't have a lot of money, so we thought that's it, Christmas over. But a couple of days later, my dad had gone and he'd managed to buy a littleish tree and brought it home. So excited about this.
No
tree.
candles.
Pardon?
With no candles.
No, we didn't. We never put
We
candles on
used to put
again.
candles
Oh,
on.
you
the
know,
tree.
Candles,
you know
lit
Eve
candles.
that came the first time. She was telling me yesterday they'd put candles on their tree and it caught fire.
That's
You
quite
used to
common.
have little holders you clipped
Yes, that's
on.
right. That's right. Yeah, little
Yeah,
clips
that's
on our
right.
bulldog clips. Yes.
Didn't we used to have
Yeah.
a social at the chapel, Christmas social?
I don't remember.
I have a
remember
recollection.
having youth club
I have
and
this-
parties.
I was getting on a bit then, I was probably, I don't know, mischievous age, but I can remember, and probably would have been your mum, because she was to help with the catering.
No.
I'm sure it was a Mrs. Forth.
It'd be Auntie Kath, it'd be my auntie.
And we had these trifles all in individual dishes. So I went round and collected all the empty dishes, and while she'd gone away to get the teas, I piled them up in front of her, like, you know. Yes, yeah. But it wasn't a major issue at Christmas. You know, what we did do, I remember,
It was in your own home,
yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
It
that,
was happening in your own home.
friends and I, we decided we needed more, we'd have a carol service at church, and so we leafleted all of Bawtry, invited them to a carol service, and the Methodist chapel was absolutely packed. It was that one year absolutely packed, you know.
Do you
So-
remember when the choir would go round?
Oh yes, I do.
Or we used to go round. Both the church and the chapel would go round to houses.
You'd walk the
sing
streets,
carols.
yeah.
I always did that.
You never
collect-
get carols
And collect, that was a really nice thing
That's
to do.
right.
And
It was
we'd
lovely,
collect
and people would give
for
you
charity. And,
Yeah.
Oh,
Or mince
somebody
pie,
even give you
yeah.
mince
Yeah.
pies and
Yeah.
something to drink. And it was lovely.
One of the prime houses to go to was, I would call it Glover's, on the corner of Martin Avenue, because you usually got invited in there. And that was a big one, and I think we got a note in the collection box. But then we used to go with Scrooby as well.
Yes.
Anne and I, when we were in the mid-teens then, and Anne's mum always insisted we went to Selby Hall, because they invited us in there, you know. It was, but the carol singing was great.
I'll turn it off for a minute. Any
I don't think.
You take milk or
No, please, no sugar. Thank you.
tea or coffee?
That's just that.
Tony,
Coffee, please.
milk, sugar.
Yes, just milk, please. You don't have to boil the kettle, I'll put the boiler on, so...
What about this new coffee machine?
Well, it's not working yet. We
Oh,
haven't.
that's no good having a coffee machine and you're not working. Is it?
Did you get an invite to Bawtry Hall?
Yes,
Did
yeah,
you?
we were fortunate. That's the second time we've been.
Oh.
Yeah, we were very
didn't get
fortunate.
invited.
Yeah.
We don't always.
No.
A lot of people
Well,
in
it's
the.
only
in-
the second time they've
a lot,
been.
I think it's done on how
Is it
long you've
balancing?
lived here.
Yeah, oh, you've got to have been here for so many years.
Yes, yeah.
I
With
think
none
it's-
of us in the flats have been here long enough to.
Well,
go.
we're wondering whether we'll even apply next year because try and let other people have
They
a
did
chance.
it slightly. Is this on?
No.
Oh,
Oh,
they did
it is. Don't worry. I must have touched it. That's it.
They did
Oh.
it.
It's nice. There's a fish and chip shop, wasn't
Yeah,
there?
we used to
But
have,
actually, Zines, the whole of that, it was
Zines,
quite
was
a
that
big.
it?
yes, it was.
Yes.
Really big.
Was
He
that
was-
big fish and
Quite
chip
modern.
shop?
His son was a motorcyclist, wasn't he?
It was supposed to be the best one, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was quite good, that, yeah. But we used to have, was it 3 or 4 butchers in Bawtry as well, didn't we?
And they had you could go in and eat as well. They had a little area for you to sit and eat.
Yeah.
What's the name of the chap who came to the first meeting? I can't remember his name.
Kevin.
Kevin.
Now, I was going to ring, I did send him a card for the last one, but his wife's quite ill apparently, and I think he probably doesn't like leaving.
You probably knew him.
Kevin Pritchard.
Pritchard.
Where did you live?
On Grange Avenue. I was born on Grange Avenue, born in the house. Yeah. In fact, all 3 brothers were.
His dad was Elderkin.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
He was what?
It must
Sorry?
have been his stepdad. I'm not quite sure
Yeah.
how the name fits in, but he was related to them anyway.
Didn't this Elderkin used
Oh,
to,
that family.
was he an accountant?
Not sure. I don't know what he did.
Elderkin. Used to take their paper.
They used to live on North Avenue, didn't
I thought
Near
they used to
that
live,
shop.
Elderkin, I thought they lived somewhere near what I call the Stumps, up Station Road, turn left.
In those houses across.
Yeah, I
from
think he lived in one of those.
That was Elkington's.
Yes. Oh, nearly right, aren't I? Yeah.
Yeah, they were Elkington's.
That's right,
There
you're
was
right.
Stuart and
Yeah.
he got killed.
Who did? The son.
The eldest one. He was only in
shouldn't
his,
have had that.
he was at grammar school and they'd gone out in it. He'd got a car.
Talking of schools, that was a crazy thing here, wasn't it? It was that the junior school were all together. And 11, you took 11 plus, and you know, some went to Washington, some went to Moscow, some went to Redford. You know, and the friendships just
Yeah.
drifted. You know, I
There
still
was-
kept friends with some, but
I went to Maltby Grammar,
yes,
not from Bawtry, from Wickersley, but there was only part of Bawtry
that's
that
right.
went to Maltby.
Yeah,
Austerfield did,
yeah.
but
But
part of
your heart's
Some
got
went
to
to
the,
Doncaster.
it's the 3 counties, isn't it? Again, that's what it was.
yeah.
And we lived 100 yards inside Nottinghamshire. Because the boundary used to run down, we used to say it ran down the middle of the North Road.
When did that change?
Oh,
About 1976,
Oh, right.
Yeah.
because when I first bought my first house in Finningley, we were in Nottinghamshire, and Danny was due to go back to Northern Ireland, and we'd moved from Essex.
Hmm.
And we couldn't get a cooker because we went into Doncaster and they said, oh no, you're in Nottinghamshire and you have to go to Nottingham. We didn't have time, we only had 2 days. So I had to wait about 4 days.
I didn't think it would have stopped that in getting deliveries.
Because that's where you
it was a
bought
gas
them
board,
from.
yes.
Oh, it was the actual
Yeah.
Electric,
just a-
electric bill.
It was
when it was all
private.
Yeah, because
I
we didn't
remember
have any
that.
gas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I remember it very well because the rates under Nottinghamshire, I think were £30 a year because I remember working it out with my mortgage. And they went into Yorkshire and we went to 120.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Seriously.
Big difference.
But we got cheap buses.
Yes, you need a lot of cheap buses
Leons.
for that extra.
But we'd moved
Yeah.
away by then, but we'd kept the house. You see.
What about the ridings? When did they all gradually disappear?
About the same
Three,
time.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
about the same time. They
Yeah.
created Humberside,
Yeah.
Yeah.
South Yorkshire, North Yorkshire, and the West West Yorkshire.
Right.
Up until then it was West Riding, where the headquarters were Wakefield.
Wasn't
East Riding.
was
North.
Bawtry west or was
That's
that?
riding was Hull.
Sorry?
Bawtry was west, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah.
WRCC, yeah, that's right.
West Riding and County Council.
The Doncaster Metropolitan Borough doesn't have the same ring as WRCC.
No, it didn't, did
I was
it?
always sad when, you know, Lancers, the Indian restaurant.
Yeah.
That used to be called the Three
Counties
Counties.
restaurant.
did, I
Yes, it
remember
did.
that.
Afternoon tea there, people used to talk about was a real treat.
Yeah.
Never went. But High Street
Silver
changed a bit, hasn't it?
service.
Yeah.
Shame, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like
silver
the
service,
heritage
it's very-
going, isn't it?
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Oh, it's amazing how
yeah.
things have changed. Can you remember Mr. Barton? He used to
Yes.
sit on his rocking chair with a big hat on.
At the front
Yeah.
of the
Yeah,
shop.
Barton of Bawtry, he owned it.
There were some real
Like a
characters.
Stetson.
That's right, yeah. Yeah.
That's the sort of the people that really would have the really fascinating stories.
What we used to do
Yeah,
from
my
school,
mum- my mum
coming
and
back.
dad.
Your stories are
Well,
fascinating.
there are regard to maybe younger ones.
and there will
but-
be,
Yeah.
just think
Yeah.
for posterity.
Well,
Your
the time of the
stories.
Doncaster Ledger, the Queen used to come to Bawtry.
Yeah, to the
Yeah,
station.
and we would, from school, we would go to the station, we would take it up there to cheer and such like, you know. And the traffic to the Ledger, Doncaster, would queue back to Bawtry. It was a phenomenal traffic congestion.
That was worse then than it is now.
Oh yeah, I used to
Yeah.
come back
Yeah.
past Grange Avenue. And I, in my mid-ish, early teens, my father got me a job on a petrol station that was built where BRS used to have the depot. And in a shift, from a 10-hour shift, I would take about £240, which was a lot of money. Doncaster bypass opened, I took 30.
Really?
I was made redundant. I was one of the first people, and I never got redundancy pay. I was just out. Yeah, it was an incredible difference. They kept me going for about a month, but it never picked up.
What about when it was filling the air show and things like that?
Oh yes, I can claim a little bit of fame for that because I went on my bike. I think it was when it was at Lindholm actually, it used to be originally, and I went on my bike. I parked my bike, but I had to leave early because I'd got an evening paper round. So I walked back. I'd left my bike by a lamppost because there were a lot of bikes, and I got my hand on the bank, and this chap says, "Do you want your photograph in the paper?" This is like Yorkshire Evening Post. I said yes. He said, "Well, just stand there." So he took my photograph. By the time I got to Bawtry, the paper had been printed. There's my photograph. Paul Gray lost his bike. Yeah. I've never trusted the press since.
You're probably right.
But Finley, yeah, that was special. I can remember the first Vulcans coming in. Yeah. My brother, elder brother, we were out in the street cheering. 2 months later, we're out in the street. But yeah, that was something.
The
Yeah.
builders actually hadn't finished our garage when we moved into the house. And we had, this is next to the airfield,
Right.
and they were putting the roof on, and the Vulcan were in, and they all shot inside and they wouldn't go back. We had to get another crew.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was something. But they were
The
very
air
good.
shows were
Yeah,
brilliant.
the air shows were absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, they were.
But they were very good, weren't they? Because they always suspended flying for
Yeah.
school exams and such
Yeah.
like. It was part of the neighbourhood. Remembrance Sunday, Bawtry, we had a lot of air people there. They would parade down the high street and just stop the main road. You know,
They
no
used to
problem.
close the main road then.
Close the A1, the main road through the country.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I worked a lot for papers for Miss Howard. Do you remember Miss Howard?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
And a wonderful, very elderly lady.
She had a sister, there were two sisters.
2 nieces. They were nieces.
Oh, but
Oh, were they
nieces.
nieces?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
The Miss Taylors.
Yeah,
I can
that's
tell you a story
right,
about
yeah.
them. But, they were very, very good to me because they used to find little jobs for me to do to give me money. One of which, I digress, but they never. One of which was they had some petrol pumps there, which they could hand wind.
My brother always used to go there.
Yeah.
She used to come in on a horse, didn't
That's
she?
right, and horse was kind of sagging in the middle
There
because
was
she.
a nickname. Where did you
Yeah.
know the other nickname?
His poor horse, his back was like this. She was not light. It wasn't light.
Small,
There
small.
were
but
two.
large.
There were two. One was called Nancy, and the other one was
Yeah.
Nancy was the one that was good to me. But I used to paint a line down the marketplace so that keep the traffic to the petrol pumps with a brush this wide. You know. And I used to paint this. And to safeguard me, she gave me 2 oil drums, 2 little drums, one in front, one behind. And if I heard those oil drums knocked, I had to jump out the way. But one thing I do remember is painting this. And I got so used to people coming up and asking me where the toilets were. And I got to the state where if I saw a pair of shoes, I never stopped. I saw a pair of shoes, I'd go, over the road, second on the left. Over the road, second on the left. And I'd keep clear on the marketplace.
Is it true, Paul? I was told that the horse, she used to take the horse up Martin Lane and she used to hang a lantern from its tail. When its tail went, the lantern would go like this.
It wouldn't surprise. I don't remember that. It wouldn't surprise me. Your phone's going.
But those ladies.
I'm going to really apologise.
Yes, you have to do
I'm
that.
sorry because I'm enjoying it.
I'll just quickly take those ladies. When my dad was poorly one time, they knew he was poorly, and my mum went in to pay the papers. This is what a lovely community it was, and they said, till he goes back to work, don't pay for it. Come and get your papers, but don't pay for them.
They were lovely, weren't they?
That that was just so lovely.
That's what's gone, isn't it?
Yeah. Miss Howard. So we worked for her for all the 3 brothers, and I gradually took on their rounds, so I had the lot. And when she died, there was no record. She never kept a record of what people had. It was all in her head.
Where was this?
There was where NatWest Bank is now.
Right.
And
It was only a tiny shop.
and the petrol pumps were next door. I was the only one that knew what the people had. And so the nieces asked me to prepare a ledger, which I did. Wrote this massive ledger out. And then they said, do you want to clear the shop? But Miss Howard, in her dotage, she had no patience. If people gave her something that wanted change, she'd throw it on the floor. I went to brush the floor. It was all bumpy. Sticky.
These were the characters of the day, weren't they?
I had to get a shovel and I scraped it up. It was all money, all change. And I put it in a bucket. And I said to Nancy, I said, I've got this off the floor. And she said, well, you found it, you can keep it. And that set me up.
So you go and
Yeah, don't miss your appointment,
Yes.
please.
No. Arrange the next.
Yeah.
The next.
Yeah,
The next
sometime in January.
And thank you all for coming. And I
Thank
do
you.
apologise.
That's okay, don't worry. Health
We're
first.
sorry you're going.
The start of that story, I'm sorry I'm going on a bit.
No, do,
Start that
please,
story
go on.
with the RAF camp, which was obviously built before my time, but we took the papers in there, and there are 2 stories I'd like to share. One is that they had a most peculiar thing. They built brick houses for the married lower ranks, but the next tier up were in prefabs up Martin Lane on the rise where they've now built other housing. But he used to take papers around, and one day on my bike, which had the box on the front, my paper bike, I used to pull up and just lean it against this wire, the stay for a post, and you kind of threw it almost, and I threw it against this cable, and this klaxon started sounding. And I looked round, and all these people rushing out in various stages of dress, jumping on bikes and riding away. And I thought, oh, that's funny. I did think, oh, that's ever so funny. So 2 nights later, I went back up there, and I gave this a real good swing, and sure enough, this klaxon sounded again. And they all went rushing up. And what it was an alert. It was a short circuit somewhere. I did once more, and then they obviously traced it, and I never got caught. And the other...
I didn't realise you were so naughty.
Oh, well, my brothers used to put me up to these things, really. They trained me. But then, when I was taking the papers, I had this idea from Howard. It was well established then with them. I was only about 14, 15. And I said, what I'd like to do is I think I could sell some more papers, because the single forces people were in kind of blocks, single room blocks. So I got these wads of paper, newspapers, on Sunday morning. Can you imagine? And I'm walking down this corridor at 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning, shouting, paper! Get your paper! Well, I tell you, my vocabulary was extended tremendously. But I sold a lot of papers. The other thing that they had me do, crazy really, they used to go into Pickles in Doncaster, the wholesalers, and order things. I was only early to mid-teens. Order the stock, and I'd come back on the bus with a box this square full of cigarettes. I could barely carry it, you know, and I'd shove it under the stairs, which you could on buses. They got buses in those days had space for luggage.
Did,
And I'd shove it under the stairs, and I'd sit there watching it all the way back. We had 2 newsagents, didn't we? Miss Firth's had one down at Swan Street.
Down the bottom.
Yeah.
First,
And there's a butcher's down there. I can't think of the name. There was a butcher's down
Bulmers.
There was
there. It could have been Bulmers.
Bulmers.
There's one by the post office.
Peacocks. That was on the
Peacocks was on the top.
Bloodworth's was the one by
Was
the one by the church walk.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then the one down here was
Dawson, that's right. Because my brother used to go there. He used to keep pigs in Dawson, and my brother used to go and help him slaughter them. I know.
He had his slaughterhouse.
Yeah, the slaughterhouse. Yeah, slaughter them on the premises. Slaughter today in the shop tomorrow. You know. And John would say, I did that one. But the high street was fascinating, wasn't it? Because we had herrings and lanes.
Lane, yes.
Yeah, Bloodless, herrings and lanes. And I know we used to stand outside herrings in summer, looking in the window, and the wasps would be cutting little pieces out of the jam tarts. Absolutely amazing that we did.
Herrings is a bit like Taylor's is now in Tickhill.
Yes, yes,
it?
yeah.
In its day, yeah.
Yeah, they both used to do deliveries, didn't they? And the co-op did.
Co-op did.
Yeah. And further up, next to the co-op was Mr. Farthing, the chemist.
That's right, the chemist.
And he used to sell loose tea.
Yeah.
He came in a tea chest, and you go on there and you order your half a pound of tea, and you weigh it out, and he'd pack it in a bag so tight and fold it down that, you know, it was a solid piece. You know, it was a remarkable man. He was a pharmacist of the old school, but obviously the system had left him behind. Years later, I worked for Henry Spencer and Sons, the auctioneers at Retford.
Oh, yes.
And when Mr. Farthing died, they got the job of selling everything. And Mr. Farthing had another building up near Hillcrest, and it was just full of stuff. And people came from miles around to buy this old stock.
Did Farthing's take over because there was Jackson's chemist as well?
Yeah, well, it might have been Jackson. I might have got the wrong name.
Jackson's was the.
There was a big chemist in Swansea.
That was Farthing's was down Swan Street.
No, this was Jackson. I beg your pardon, wrong then.
I know,
Rewind the tape.
I just know they were very
Yeah.
famous.
The
weren't
Jackson,
they,
yes it was. The Farthing's just got wrong card. Mr. Jackson, yeah. Yeah.
So I had told a story about going in there, and he was an old man, and he used to have the brown
That's right.
sort of
Smacked
coat
up. Yeah.
top thing on. And I went to get a little present for my mum, some bath salt in a bath cubes thing, and he got on a ladder, went up, got it, and it came down all dusty, and he got a duster,
It's a bit like art.
dusted all the dust off it. It was the most.
It was. Well, it was an era, wasn't it? That shop, the end of an era.
It was fascinating. Even as a child, I found it fascinating.
Can
Did
you
you have
remember?
all those drawers?
Yes. Yeah, they got no end of them, haven't they? Yeah. Lovely shop.
Hello.
But,
Take a seat.
can you remember the first the Wimpy bar arriving?
Yes, we were talking about
Yeah.
that last
Yeah, I
time.
couldn't believe we had a wimpy bar.
Oh yeah, we were with
We used
it.
to go down
trying
on
to
Sunday
get in.
afternoon and have Knickerbocker glory.
Oh yeah, it was.
Couldn't
We were
get
with
in.
it.
Frothy
Both
coffee.
doors seemed to be locked. So I finally got it.
And they
I've
used
been
to
round
have
to that.
on the
If it were
tables they
round
had
there.
those tomato in the the squeezy tomato.
Oh, shape of a tomato.
Yes.
Shaped like a
Yeah,
tomato.
yeah.
That's right. And there was a
On the tables.
hardware
Can have
shop
them in
just
Giano,
down
can't
Swan Street, wasn't there? Haycock's took it on.
Haycock's.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to sell everything, guns and everything. So I used to, with school holidays, I worked on a farm that I call Partridge Lane. It runs across the bottom of the runway, anyway. And he went up one day this week and said, I've no work for you. So can I borrow your gun and shoot something? So I said, well, I haven't got any cartridges. I said, oh, I'll get some. So I got on my bike, cycled down to Bawtry, went into Haycock's and said, I need some cartridges for a 12 bore. And he looked at me.
How old were you?
I wouldn't be 15. And he said, have you got a gun? I said, no. I said, but farmer's going to show me what to do. So he gave me these cards. I bought these cartridges, cycled all the way back up there, and he gave me this gun, which is as tall as me, you know, and told me I mustn't shoot any game, you know, don't shoot any pheasants or partridges. Well, you know, rabbits and such like communicate, because there wasn't one. I didn't see one all day. You know, I did have a go at a partridge, but I didn't get it. You probably don't remember this, but I was telling Tony that I used to also work at Wilson's farm, which is now the bottle factory.
Oh yes.
And that was old Mr. Wilson and his wife and his son, Teddy Wilson, and Teddy Wilson's nephew, I think, Peter Young, who used to live down.
Was an antiques.
Pardon?
Antiques man.
Yes, yeah, Peter Young. He was a rogue. But
He lives at Misterton.
stay. All right. But
He still does classes, don't he?
Yes.
But
Peter Young on here.
what they used to do is keep the cattle inside all winter, in the stockyard and feed them, such like. And then Easter holidays when I was working, the time to move them down to the river pastures, because there's plenty of grass. So what they used to do is tell me, right, what you've got to do, get on your bike, okay, when we've let them out, pass them, get down to the main road, turn them down London Road, and then get in front of them again, and turn them down Gainsborough Road. Then get in front of them, just under the bridge, turn them into the field. And they'd open the gates, and it was a stampede of about 30 or 40 cattle. And no, we never killed anybody. You know, never had any accidents. But it was like a rodeo. It was great fun. And another time we were hay time. We were gathering the hay from down the river meadows, and they used to Peter Young always used to want to put extra on the top. And this trailer load, we used to ride back on the top of the trailer, and it was so high, the load, it wouldn't go under the telegraph wires and the electricity cable. So what you used to get a pitchfork and just lift them up. Yeah. It was wild.
You seem to have had an awful lot of jobs. I mean,
well, it was just a doctrine that if I wasn't at school, I had to be working.
right.
You know.
Was that because you had to or you chose to?
That's what was choice to have to
Did
be
you
done.
get any of the money at all that you earned? None of it? It all went to your parents, did
Yeah,
it?
Dad took it all.
Oh.
Yeah. But I thought it was a managed thing to do as well. You know.
Well, absolutely,
All my friends were playing, I was working.
Yeah.
I look back and I think,
We have been talking about Christmas, Mark, but
All
do you
right.
remember Christmas?
Christmas at school.
We can't remember
Oh,
what.
we did at school at Christmas.
No, I can't
We
remember.
can't remember much.
Isn't it
I don't
funny?
think we
I
did
never
a
can
lot.
remember what they did at
I know,
school at Christmas.
I can't
can't.
think we did
I
much.
can't.
I don't even
I
remember
can't remember doing it.
nativity
No,
or
I
anything.
can't remember doing it.
I can remember making the paper chains. You know,
yeah.
and that sticky
Yeah.
paper that got everywhere.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
can
can
remember that.
can't
I
you?
can
Yeah.
remember that.
And
but
the streams.
I can't remember having any nativity or anything like that.
Did he put it so?
Yeah, don't you remember going across the
Parties.
chapel
No.
for the nativity play?
No.
I remember the chapel having a nativity.
No, but it was a school one. We did it in the chapel, a
Oh,
school
right.
one.
But they did one when Mayflower, but that was a bit late.
That's past my
Yeah.
time, yeah.
No, Mayflower wasn't built when
No, no, we're long gone.
when we were at school.
Yeah,
you
when we
were
left, we
at
got
school.
proper schools, yes.
Yeah.
I got to it. I got to the Mayflower.
Did you, by Joe? Oh.
Yeah, it'd just been built.
It had only just been
That was one of
built
the
when I was
first
Yeah, our
ones.
David went in it on it. I think it was his first
It's
year.
just so nice to go into a brand new school. It's just,
So you won't remember the bell coming through the school roof then?
no.
Oh, yeah. You haven't got a day off for that.
I don't remember that.
Behind the library.
Really?
Yeah, Mrs. Morton's class.
Mrs. Morton's
Well,
class.
in that
Lesson, yeah.
She used to hit you with a slipper.
Well, she never hit me.
No, she didn't hit me, but she had a. She did it.
Miss
Some,
Sedgwick used to use the cane and she hit me.
she used to. Miss Cookson used to use a ruler,
Oh, yeah, well, she was
but with the
edge.
not the flat.
Yeah, she used the edge.
Yeah.
I know she did it when it half.
Can you remember when she got married? She was. We knew her by her maiden name, came back after summer and she was married. And we all had to
I cannot
do
remember as
program.
Mrs. Cookson.
Program, like, you know, and if you got the name wrong, edge of the ruler.
God dear.
Is that Mrs. Cookson?
Yeah, it was peculiar, wasn't it? Because Mrs. Morton had a classroom at the end,
Yeah.
and then it was the next
Miss
one,
Sedgwick.
Miss Sedgwick, and you had to go through Miss Sedgwick to get to
She's dead, put your hand up, put it low or anything. Because she's got to go through headmistress's room, didn't
That's
you?
right, yeah. Yeah, there was a petition, wasn't it, that used to fall back, yeah. We used to have a dinner in there as well.
And they always used to, and Miss Sedgwick always used to stand with her back to the fire.
Yeah, with the skirt lifted up, yeah. Yeah, no.
She did, they used to have a big fire guard out, because it was like a great big bulbous thing,
Yeah, it
wasn't
was,
it?
yeah.
And she used to stand there, like this, with her back against this thing. We were all perished because we never got any heat from the fire.
No, we
Because
didn't.
she used to block it, didn't
Yes,
she?
she did. God
The
dear.
children were so respectful. We were terrified to do
We weren't
anything
there,
wrong.
so-
We wouldn't dare
But
do
it wasn't
anything
respectful,
wrong.
it was fear.
That's
But it was segregation, wasn't it? Because girl playground, boys playground.
Yeah.
Okay.
And toilets.
Well, it
Oh,
was.
yeah.
I know what you mean, Jude.
Yeah, boys' toilets was urinals was just a wall painted black because the competition was to see if you could get over the wall.
I didn't know that.
Well, you wouldn't, would you?
No, unless somebody told me, like now, 50 years later.
We did get knocked about it. I mean, I did it where I lived at the time. We were always being hit,
Yeah.
smacked round the head. And,
I mean, Mrs. Morton always had that slipper though,
No, she never.
didn't
No,
she?
you've got
Mr.
prison
Scott,
for that. Yeah.
he was a slipper man.
Ah, well, you see, I didn't know Mr. Scott
He had
either.
he had a prefab in
Mr.
the.
Scott.
Oh, he was horrible.
It's funny, I like all
He-
Prefab, where did
he-
you have prefab then? In the playground?
No, on the gardens. They used to have a garden. We used to garden at school.
Oh, yeah, they used
in the
to.
corner,
Yeah.
and then it was a little bit past the gate. Then it went
Oh,
on
well, I
there.
never had him.
Do you remember how when he talked, he kind of spit a bit, Mr. Scott?
No, I only have
And so people would avoid sitting, because he was, as he spoke.
He was
had
quite a
sort of
biggish
these
fellow,
very
wasn't
pert lips, and he used to sort of just slightly.
Our David had Mr. Scott.
But I liked him very
Right,
much.
didn't
I thought
you?
he was a great teacher.
I don't know. I only had them three.
Did you used to the garden? Did you used to grow veg?
No, I didn't
we had to
used to
grow
do any garden. I'm not a gardener.
radishes, lettuce,
Don't grow anything.
and then the lorries coming down the road, the brakes occasionally would fail, and they'd just come straight through the hedge and wreck the garden.
Oh.
I remember the epic ones I can remember was a lorry carrying tins of beans that got on fire.
Do you remember the Cadbury's Roses lorry spilling all its chocolates on this corner? Oh,
No,
don't you remember that?
I got looking, did I? No. No, I got looking for the fish one.
We were at school. I mean, I can remember Aggie Mellors picking chocolates up and that.
Did you get your just desserts?
I can remember that, all that Cadbury's Roses it was. There were sweets everywhere. On that bend as it goes round into
It was a
Bawtry.
really bad bend, it still is.
You might
is.
have been on holiday or something,
No,
or you
no,
might
no.
have been off sick,
Oh,
or...
no, that's what we used to do as well. There used to be excursions from the station, day trip.
Oh,
remember
yeah.
those? Yeah.
The whole
Cleveland.
school
Take your
went.
sandwich, yeah. The whole. Yeah,
Mums,
but-
dads, grandmas,
Yeah.
aunties, uncles, everybody. Well, they had the whole train.
That's right. It was a train load, went. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
All
lads had to come
trooping
back
up
with the sheep
station.
now. You had to come back with the sheep now.
Always
Yeah.
all these people trooping up Station Road
Yeah.
to get to the
Yeah.
station.
Usually Skegness or Cleethorpes, but I think occasionally we went to, was it Bridlington or Skegness?
No, I've only ever been to Cleethorpes. I only went to Cleethorpes.
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
it was the whole train, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I don't know who organised it, probably British Rail, like, put a poster up.
You used to have to
British,
charter a train in those days, because we used to do it where I worked. You could charter a whole train.
Yeah.
Because they knew it was going to be
That's
full
what
of
we
kids, they gave you rotten rolling stock, which was falling to bits.
Yeah. With no toilets on, yeah.
That's it.
But
Yeah.
everybody, I mean, mums and dads and a lot went, didn't
Oh, yes, it was a full.
yeah.
It was a great time out.
they? It was.
Yeah. Can you remember the coronation
Yes.
and the street parties?
No,
No.
Can you remember?
we didn't have
Oh,
a street
yeah.
party.
Yeah, well, I'd be 8. 53 wasn't it, the coronation?
Well, I
I'd
was
be
only
8.
2.
No, it was 7 and a half.
7 hours.
And what was remarkable was that Grange Avenue.
Coronation was 53.
Yeah.
She went to the throne in 52.
Two, yes,
didn't
right,
she?
yeah. Grange Avenue was built just before the war, so it was never got round to resurfacing it because of the war. So there used to be enormous lakes and such like. However, whether it was because of the coronation, it was surfaced, pavements put down, tarmac, and so down the street we had a massive street party.
Oh, wow.
It was great, you know. Got a tin of first sweets. I've still got the tin,
Oh, wow.
and
Did you get your mug with things?
yeah, a mug, and I haven't got that, and a teaspoon. which I've still got.
That's
Did you
really
get a crown? Were you given a...
Yes.
Well, that's before my
I've
time.
still got my
I
crown.
know it is then.
Yeah, I've
VE
still got
Day, yeah.
mine.
Yeah.
I only know because my cousin's on there. Wait a minute, I've got to find. I've just been to opticians. I don't need new glasses,
But
he says.
I wasn't in I
think that's-
we
I
had
think
a
she's
street
got
party in
pigtails.
Sprotborough.
Right.
All right.
With all the-
Rosemary vote, she called.
I
Yeah.
think street parties are lovely.
I do as
Yeah.
well.
And we used to go out as a street when I lived in Sprotborough.
They've made it so
I
difficult
mean, you
now.
used to get a bus and
There
go
Which is
on.
difficult.
there must
Go
be
out
a
on
few
trips.
people on here that
Yeah.
lived in both. Well,
The,
they did live
the
in
chapel
Bawtry.
used to do a day out as well.
Yeah, that
We
was
used to
that's
get a
my
day out
cousin.
Oh, I was
Rosemary.
trying to
A bus,
find
that
the
was on a
picture
bus.
of it,
I can't remember that.
That was it to be Sunday school.
Oh,
God,
did
I used to
that.
potato
I remember,
picking.
I can remember the Sunday school anniversary when you had to have the platform,
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
and
she
you'd,
used to
you'd get
be,
on these planks of wood, and there'd be a
Nancy
12-foot
Hall.
drop
Where are you
between the
on?
steps.
No, I'm not.
You know.
This was a-
I remember when what's in
Shopping
the
boards till
Working
40s,
Men's
they
Club
pop up.
go on holiday, they used to be where the art
That's
showrooms
my
now.
cousin there. Oh, let me get my glasses back on.
There were crates
Can we,
of...
can we,
Yeah, that's
excuse me, can we
because
do one at
we-
a
yeah,
time? Because
Rosemary,
otherwise
Margaret.
She
the
was-
recording won't work. It's got
Oh,
to be one
sorry.
at a time.
She was
Have a rest.
born in 39.
Oh,
She was there.
What is now the art gallery, when I was a youngster, was the Working Men's Club. I don't know when it ceased to become a town hall.
I didn't know
The
that.
Working Men's Club had
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And I can remember once on my paper round being there when they were loading up for their outing, and it was crate after crate of beer that was going on board. Like, you know. And I think it was down to where you could drink as much as you could. I never went on that because Dad wasn't in that club. Then it became, tragically, they knocked it about to make it into a car showroom, knocked the front out. You know, lovely building. But
I can remember it when it was a... Because I went on one of one or two trips.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was quite a special place. And you've probably been told about the marketplace being covered in agricultural implements, you know. And there was none were ever stolen. Tractors were left there. There's a Barton's just use it as his shoulder.
I know, yeah. So I used to get my lawnmower serviced there.
Oh yeah. Do you remember the tea gardens at the Granby?
No. No.
They used to. There was a car park at the front, which there wasn't many cars. I'd be about, I don't know how old I'd be. But then there was a wall and then a big iron gate in the centre, where all the car park
Yes,
that
yeah.
is now. And behind there was a tea garden, and they used to have a kiosk that sold lemonade, tea, and crisps and chocolate and stuff like that.
All right. Yeah.
I think
No.
it's our David that's got the photograph of me and him in the garden.
Right.
I think I'm sat like that now. Why I'm sat like that, I don't know.
Please can I have some more.
Probably.
But it's interesting because in those days there were territories in Bawtry.
Territories.
Really, yes. You know that we east and west.
Well, it was
And
just
just the
in
way-
Yorkshire, wasn't it? for a
Yes, it
start?
was, and socially it seemed to divide that way as well, you know. And I was never a member of a gang, 'cause I was a good boy. But my brother was; he was a gang leader, and there were quite some interesting forays. I remember when North Avenue, South Avenue, okay, they had a gang, and they came over, and there was a battle raged on built on it, but up Ingham Road, where Glass Bulbers built a load of houses up there,
Yeah, they did.
and then beyond that was an open space, and this battle was raging, and I can remember John Window, he was a Glass Bulber, so he was in the wrong gang. He went and got his dad's runner bean sticks for spears.
That's what?
Runner bean sticks as spears.
And I can remember now seeing this black dot in the sky, bang, you know, hit with a rock. Yeah, it was.
Oh, I didn't really
But nobody ever
know
got
that went on.
hospitalised, like, you know. It was just
But I mean,
dust-ups.
I mean, there was a police house, wasn't there, on the
We
corner?
had two policemen in Bawtry.
Yeah, because he had one for Yorkshire and one for Nottinghamshire.
PC Bontoff and PC Wright.
Yeah.
Yeah, PC Bontoff had a daughter.
I've got an incredible memory, man. I can't.
I remember PC Bontoff's daughter, Susan. Susan was her name, and I used to play with her occasionally. And one day, she says to me, "Do you want to see my knickers?" And I thought, Okay.
This is all being recorded.
Well, you did, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, it's
Okay.
live.
I thought,
Miss a
yeah,
chance.
just got on with it. Right, you know.
That's all you ever saw.
Oh yeah, that's right. Good heavens, yeah. But, yeah, it was interesting. We had two policemen.
Innocent.
PC Bontoff was quite slim, and PC Wright was not. We used to go around on bikes. PC Bontoff caught me once. We'd been scrumping, you know, which we just had to do. Like, you know, all these apples, it seemed to pity to let them go to waste. And but he couldn't wait for them to ripen. So I'm walking on dark in here, apples in here. Now then, young man, what you got in there? Nothing. Well, get nothing out and show me. And he made me eat them all. And he said, right, don't do that again. Did me clip down it, and that was it.
You didn't,
Yeah.
you didn't
No
look
court
at
or
it as,
anything like that.
No.
you didn't look at
No.
it as stealing.
Yeah,
we
that's
had
it.
a big
You
orchard
didn't go
at
until the
the
man
bottom.
being
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry.
It's all right.
No, we had a big orchard at the bottom of where I lived.
Yes.
And it was just the norm. We all
Yeah.
used to go in and get apples. And one day he caught us. Well, we used to have a lookout, and the lookout used to whistle.
Yeah, that's it.
Davy Crockett, actually. I remember what he used to whistle. And
Every time I hear it now, he start running.
this particular day, somebody got caught, and he got hold of them, and he said, "Look, you can have as many apples as you like, all of you, off the ground, but stop taking them off the trees because you're ruining the
Yeah.
trees." I mean, that was,
That's right.
you know.
Well, I always used to be in that orchard because
I
of
know.
Jackson's our friend.
That was Jackson.
Yeah,
who
well,
said
I was
that.
friends with Mrs. Jackson's sister lived in Millham in Cumberland, in Cumbria, and she used to come down for 6 weeks at holiday. Of course, she was a Jackson, so we were always in that orchard. Our always had stomachache all summer.
I was thinking, I don't know why it reminded me, how many farms we used to have in Bawtry. There was Watson's farm, which is opposite the library, Wagstaff, which was behind the school, Ellis, that was down by the church, and I think there's another one somewhere, Taylor's, which was up the airfield.
My Uncle Phil had a bit of a...
That's where I lived.
Yeah.
Oh.
Chris Taylor
Yeah,
wrote
my,
there.
my uncle had a bit of a farm at the back of us.
Yeah.
He used to get the children to help with all the potato picking and everything.
We did,
And
Yeah.
other farmers would pay their these children, and he would say to us, "You can have a ride on the cart. You can ride." He had a pony as well. We could ride the pony as often as we liked. That was more than any
Yeah.
money. We loved it.
That's
At
right.
the
We used to
time
have
of our life.
a week off school to pick potatoes, didn't we? Yeah.
That's the,
Oh,
that's
we
the
did,
origin of the
yeah.
6-week holiday.
Yeah.
We didn't used to go to school until after race week.
No, we had
didn't
leisure week off. We went back to
we
school.
always had leisure week off.
Doing it. We loved
Because of
picking
traffic
these.
and that. The buses
Yeah.
didn't used to go all the way into
And they used to
Doncaster.
have a family's day at the races, didn't
Yeah.
they? Where-
Oh yeah, everyone had to go. In fact, you feel there's a little dent. Okay, because my father took us there, and I think we actually went on a ride, which was a novelty. It was these swing boats, you know, where
Oh,
you
yeah.
stop at the side. And we've been on this, and I was very young, and we got off, and swing boats are there, and the father's over there. So I went to see him, and the swing boat came back, wham! I got me in the back of the head. They say I took off. And I have this recollection of looking up and looking a bit hazy, and people saying, "Stay down, stay down." But nobody took any notice apart from that.
No.
You know,
No.
I didn't go to hospital. It probably explains a lot, but I remember Mr. Watson's farm. You know, they were. I was very friendly with his grandson, but old Mr. Watson hadn't got a lot of money, and everything was tied with string. You know, throttle cable on the tractor.
Oh, that was
string.
farmers,
Yeah,
that's what
they did,
everything was a binder string was so useful, wasn't it? Like, you know, and that's we miss all that now. We miss all that.
Farmers
the
could mend
Brewster's
anything,
farm?
couldn't
Brewster's
They
were in
didn't Brewster's.
Plainfields.
They didn't Brewster's take on Watson's farm,
Oh, was that?
and their lad got killed, didn't he? A tractor rolled over at top of Martin Lane, decapitated him. Yeah.
they? Used to infuriate us teachers in Doncaster because the kids would come back to school and you just get them settled down Then they go away for legends.
Yes,
It
yeah,
was an absolute nuisance. They stopped it
Well,
in the end.
yeah.
That's why they stopped it.
yeah, it was
Because
ridiculous.
it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't used to, when I went to school in Doncaster, we didn't break up until the end of July. I left school, it was the 1st of August when I
Oh,
left.
right.
Yeah,
And then it was,
Yeah.
so it covered race weeks.
Right. That was sensible.
Yeah.
Yes, it does, yeah.
We always finished late.
But I can remember I can remember the glass bulb houses being built. I can remember Bestford. He used to build his own houses, didn't he? My brother used to work for his son, work with his son. Yes. Tom Bestford, that's right.
Yeah.
And he had a daughter as well, Elizabeth
Elizabeth, yeah.
Bestford.
And Rita Palin, I'm sure Rita Bestford, wasn't she?
But I can remember he built 3 houses, I think. He had a plot of land and he used to have grow potatoes. And he built his own house, then he built one, then moved into that, built another one and moved into that, built another one and moved into that. Gradually reducing his potato patch. And then they gradually then extended Ingham Road and did the inevitable, brought it round and joined it onto Grange Avenue.
And then he had that shop, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yes, down by the post office.
Yeah, that was their shop.
I mean,
and
they
the house
used-
next to it.
Yeah.
That's where they lived. That big
That's
house.
where, yeah, that's where.
Yeah.
what's
We
her
also
name?
had
Julie,
a
wasn't
shop.
Yeah, she was there.
Sorry. We also had a shop where the children's nursery is. Now that was a shop.
Oh,
Where
that was Wright's
Wright's.
Oh,
shop.
yeah.
We had a shop
There was
there.
also one.
that?
There was
That was a
also one on Doncaster
lovely
Road.
shop.
A little one on Doncaster
lot of
Road.
shops,
wasn't
right?
Yeah,
Dead
Councillor Wright.
there? Dead opposite Martin
Where
Lane.
was
There
it
used to
where
be a little.
Harold had his watch shop?
That's
At
right.
one bit, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was a barber's there, Ray. I used to go in there, and I can't think of his name, Ray something. Then he went to work at Rampton.
Is it still there, that little building?
Oh yeah. Don't you remember one of
Tiny building.
Cox's trees fell on it?
Did it?
Oh, did it?
Yeah, we had a storm and it came down out of their garden and it fell on it, but it's still there. It's boarded up. I don't know whether it's used now.
Can you remember school dinners? Mr.
Yeah.
Wright used to call and pick up, because they used to make the school dinners in where the library is now. That was the canteen. And then he would come and take containers of dinner to different schools, didn't he? To the infant school, and I think he also supplied Harworth. But
Choice.
I converted Miss Sedgwick's and Miss Cookson, or Mrs. Cookson, Mrs. Cookson class up into a dining room. And we used to eat a dinner in there. Had one pupil would be, one was gravy monitor, and the other one was potato monitor, I think. That's right. And the catering staff were vegetables and meat. So
I used to stop school dinners.
I did, yeah.
I had no choice. My
Oh,
mum
I
made me
loved-
stop
no, I
first
didn't.
day.
Yeah, I did, always stopped, And you learned to eat what was put in front
You
of
had
you.
to, yeah.
But
Because
can you
of
remember
choice.
those dehydrated potatoes?
You had to eat everything. As you
It
didn't
was
have
the
your put
prunes and
because you weren't allowed to get up, were you? You could be sat there all playtime eating this dinner.
No, you got to finish. Yeah. But
There
was
was-
it semolina with a bit of jamming?
I love that.
Make it all
I
big.
did.
Oh,
I really like that.
the only thing I didn't like was
Sago was.
onion
Frog
sauce.
spawn.
Onion sauce.
Onion sauce.
Tapioca.
Was it tapioca?
I like that as well.
I don't
Sorry,
like
yeah.
it all then.
Tapioca,
But then
yeah.
they used to. My favourite was dessert. Was sponge with jam on it and coconut. I used to look. I went mad for that. But the catering staff, bless them, knew the family history. And after dinner, they would then give away from the canteen window any pudding that was left, and that there was always some for me, like Yeah.
When I first started teaching history about the mid-60s, with the dinners were cooked on the premises of the big secondary school, we had this thing called ricochet pie, and it was a kind of shortbread, but you couldn't cut it with a spoon. If you did, it shot across the room.
No, it was called
So what you
ricochet.
did, you weighed it down with custard, came with it, and you broke it up with a fork,
Yes.
and it didn't fly away with the plate. We loved it. It was really nice.
Yeah.
Good name.
Ricochet
It is.
pie, yeah. Then they used to put the beetroot in the same dish as the mashed potatoes, so all the mashed potatoes went
pink.
red.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah.
We had
Things
it.
you've got to do. But you
Yeah,
thought
we-
you thought nothing about having to travel to school, did you? I mean, yes, you could walk to Bawtry, but then you say it was on a bus to Malta, on a bus to Rossington,
yeah.
on a bus to Red. I had to catch a bus at 10 minutes to 8, I think.
You catch service bus?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to
Yeah.
catch service bus to Doncaster.
Yeah. But,
8 o'clock, because she's got to be in school for 10 to 9. She was classed
that's
as
right,
late.
10 to 9, walk through Retford. But it was, education was streamed,
Oh yeah.
definitely, you know. And Miss Sedgwick would sort out, in her mind, and 12 pupils would get. But I remember her saying to me, Mrs. Haycock, that's what came to say that Glenys had passed her 11 plus. And Miss Sedgwick said to me, do you want to go home and see what your results are? Didn't say it to anybody else.
No.
So there'd been a few people calling, few parents calling, so I ran home, not been head up,
Nasty moment.
but I said, should be a letter for me. Oh, let's have a look. He looks at this letter, and I said, have I passed? He said, well, I don't know really. Difficult to say. You better take it back to school. So I went back to school, ran all the way down, through the playground, all the children said, have you passed? Have you passed? Well, but Dad doesn't know. One Miss Sedgwick, gave it to Miss Sedgwick, he said, of course you've passed. You know? But yeah, things that you remember.
Yeah.
But it was heavy streamed, without a doubt.
Yeah, I first started teaching. My first teaching practice was in Sherwood, in Nottingham. And I had 44 children in the class.
44?
And it was streamed. So they were all clever. They were all going to Pavement or the high school or something like that, in Nottingham. They stayed up half the night. And I'd finished the work, I'd set them by lunchtime. But yeah, 44 kids.
That's a big class.
And the class teacher introduced me to him and never saw him again. Only a student.
I can't remember how many we had, but I don't know our class, but I think it would be about 30.
I would say about 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
44.
And dipping pens.
Oh yes. Ink monitor. Yeah. Or you could get a bit of blotting paper, dip it in your ink, roll it up.
Oh yeah. Oh no, best of all was spitballs.
Oh,
Get a bit of paper and chew it up, and then chuck it at the ceiling. So if we went in some of the classrooms,
There was all bits hanging
there was
from
all
the
these bits
yeah.
hanging from
Yeah.
the ceiling. You just go.
Yeah, there were all these bits hanging from the ceiling, I remember that.
Oh, I'm glad that happened here as well.
We were given at least 12 words a day or something we had to learn for spelling. And people, for years afterwards, if I was in Bawtry, would say, I remember you walking around with your book, trying to remember your spelling.
You had to learn your spellings.
Yeah. There's no messing.
And your tables. And your tables, times tables.
Oh, they still do them.
But my English teacher at senior school said she'd rather sweep roads than teach me English. Because at least she could see where she'd been.
Oh dear.
That's what she said to me.
Very nice.
At least I could see where I'd been.
Oh dear, oh dear.
So I didn't like her.
No.
I'm not surprised.
Well, it's looking back, you think it was hard,
When it was...
but really, a lot of it was good fun.
think
when
we
we
had
used
the
to
best
have
days,
the
really.
what's the name?
Yeah, I'll have a look in a sec. It was good fun, you know. Well, you didn't think no any different, did you?
No.
Somebody said to me only the other day, I'd like to be living my life now, starting, you know. I said, well, to be honest with you, I loved my childhood.
Yes. Yeah.
I wouldn't change a bit of it. Didn't care much for secondary school because I failed the 11 plus and did not like the school one little bit I went to.
Yeah, I can remember that first day at senior school.
Rosington
Oh, I remember
Secondary.
Yeah. I can remember my first day
I went to
starting at grammar school,
Dundee.
as if it was yesterday. My father took me up the week before to show me where the school was, and he bought me a cap and a tie. So that was the minimum uniform. And I went in. They passed me down a jacket from one of my brothers. It was a brown jacket, and they passed me down shorts from another brother. They were blue. And I walked to grammar school. You knew where you're going because all these other children were going. I must have been pretty obvious because everyone else was wearing a green blazer and grey shorts, like, you know. And somebody said to me, "You should be round the front of the school." And he was an older boy, you know. So I didn't know how to get around the front of the school. So I went through this gate, and there was 400 pupils at this school. And as I went through this gate, it went quiet. Nobody stopped me. I found out afterwards, I walked through the headmaster's garden down the front and up to the front of the school.
Oh, God.
You know, yeah, I can remember I was absolutely terrified. Yeah, probably like if you when you went to Washington.
They were really strict with our uniform though at Doncaster. Were they strict at?
Oh yeah, but you know, what was. I never did have a uniform. You know, you had to have the minimum was a cap and a tie.
Oh no, I had. And when you knelt down, your skirt had to just touch the floor.
Yeah.
And you couldn't wear white knee socks. You could only wear white ankle socks or grey knee socks.
Yeah.
Black shoes. What else did? Oh, and a navy blue and pale blue stripe tie. Navy blue blazer with pale blue braiding around it. My berries. Oh, I hated that bloody berry.
We had to have a uniform now, didn't you?
Oh yes.
Didn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Ours was just navy blue.
Navy and white, wasn't it?
But they were-
But we didn't have to have a blazer.
We
did
couldn't wear shorts for PE or games. Navy blue knickers.
Yeah.
Town fields
I
at
quite liked
Doncaster
it because
play
it was-
hockey.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
simplifies everything.
I know.
Yeah.
But you just got on with it.
You
didn't
just got a detention if you didn't have a uniform on.
But they used to send children home if they've got the wrong hair. The boys, you know, if they came with a really strange haircut, one came with this Mohican haircut, and they were sent home until it.
When we had summer
Grew.
dresses, you could have checked, spot or striped. If you had checked, they'd to be no bigger than square inch check. And they had to have sleeves, and they had to have a shirt waister and with a collar. And circles could be no more than, dots, half-inch diameter.
Oh, Christ.
Did you
Ever
have to-
so,
did you
ever
have-
so strict.
Did you have to sew your name in as well?
No, my mother
Because
sewed it in
sister-
everything.
Well, no, I mean, you know, my sister
Yeah.
went to Maltby and.
Yeah.
They had
Oh,
to
I
have
had to
my
my
mum
name
had
and
to
everything.
sign- She went to Maltby
Yeah.
and
I
so
went
she-
to-
That would be
and Janice
Mrs.
did.
Miss. Oh, I'm trying to think of the name of the headmistress at Maltby. She was Miss Tissing. No. Oh, Christ.
First year,
Tore off.
I don't know.
It's tore off.
we had to
Clip it
make
ticky.
our apron for cookery.
Yeah, we did.
And your cap and your bag.
Mm.
And then the next year, you still had sewing, but you went to domestic science.
Mm.
Yes, there was no crossover. We never got domestic science. We never got sewing. You know, we got woodwork later
Yeah, the
on.
boys had
It was
woodwork,
segregated
that's
tuition.
right.
Really it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was saying about the boy with the hair, and we only know because we spoke to people on the bus coming home.
right, yeah.
We were boys and girls.
Yeah.
were separate.
You had a bus though,
And
didn't you? To
Yeah, the bus.
Yeah, we had a
Yeah.
The bus. We mixed on the bus
Yes.
with the boys. You know, they got on the
Yes.
same bus as us.
Yeah, we did.
So we'd hear about the boy that got sent home. You know. And
It was an all-girls school.
Yeah. Yes, education was segregated, wasn't it? Ours was all boys. You know, and the canal separated us from the girls' high school. Seems to.
we only had a wall in
had a
between.
brick wall.
Oh,
And
that's
also, one of the classrooms, a science class,
That's right.
there was a window, and you could go and just. It had a curtain, but you could go and stand and look over, and you could see the boys doing their woodwork or what have you. And theirs was the woodwork, and
Boys' school was at it backed onto Town Fields, and we were down Dainham Road.
Yeah, was it on Thorn Road, the boys?
Yeah, well, you could get on from Town Fields. That's where we used to have to play hockey.
Right.
I wonder when they changed that
Stage
then.
hockey.
I wonder
I know.
when they.
They used to put me in. Well, they used to put me in goal, and I hated it. We had them portable goalposts,
yeah.
and if it were windy, they just blew over. And there's me with my hockey stick round one, hanging onto that, my hand up, they're trying to keep posts
And you
up,
had to
and
play
then.
with.
And we lost 10-0 that game.
You have to play whether it was snowing or whatever.
Oh yes, just get on with it.
Well, I used to
Yeah.
like it to snow because then we used to do cross-country running, which I didn't mind. It was the hockey I didn't like.
What was it? The really
63,
Three.
I
I can
can
tell
tell
you.
you.
1963 it was the
Yeah,
big
that's
fat
right.
winter.
Yeah. I think only 6 of us in our class got to Retford. Yeah. We had to
Well, I left
radiator
school
each.
then.
Did you ever, when you were at school, when it came to playtime, I used to hate going out, and quite a few others, we used to hide.
Oh,
Because
no.
they used to make you go out.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd hide. Oh, but we'd hide, and we'd find these different places to hide. But the what they call them, the monitors would come round.
Prefects.
Prefects.
Prefects, oh, yes.
Prefects,
Yeah.
not monitors. Prefects. They must have done it in their
Yes, so you knew where
So
to
then
they
you
look.
knew where to look.
So then I became one, a prefect, and I used to feel really bad at finding
It were
them.
good to
was
get
so
out.
cold.
I know it was. I know it
good
was.
to get out of fresh air,
But
wasn't it? So
it was just one of those things. I just remember it. I remember it vividly. You know.
Well, Ruth Duckworth used to go to the same school as me, and Vida Brown. Ruth Duckworth, Vida Brown. Who else used to go?
Judy Martin, was she in it? Do you remember Judith Martin?
Yeah.
And she called us
She went to
Yeah.
Rosington.
Remember?
I think she went to Rosington.
She went to Rosington.
She bought my brownie uniform. Can you imagine me like this?
And Judy.
And Judy, yeah.
Well, I think we'll stop there for today. There's lots of good stuff there.
Good. I think
So,
Paul's really.